Howdy. Welcome to my shop. My name's Ron and I'll be your host for the next 10 minutes or so. Being a fourth generation carpenter, wood is that's my language. It's my living, it's my hobby, it's my passion. One of those passions is making stocks. I've never had any formal training in this. I just wanted to put a piece of wood on a gun one day, and I seemed like that'd be a pretty unique challenge, so I tried it. And been going at it ever since, but honestly, I owe a lot of my success to my customers, my friends that have suggested this or that, different ways of doing it to produce a better outcome. And so I appreciate them. I owe them a great deal. The finish that I use was suggested by a friend of mine that owns a gun shop in Georgia, a guy named Dan. I've been friends with him for many years, and I owe him for that knowledge. So I don't suggest that my way is the only way. That's just not the case. I picked up my abilities to do this from watching other people and seeing other things and then figuring out how to do that. So it's a process. Some ways are better, cleaner, faster. They require less effort. On and on it goes. And I'm open to learning new and better ways. I'm always looking for that. My grandfather used to say, never let a day go by that you don't learn something. So when I do, I'll often look up, thanks, Pop, because no matter how old you get, you still need to be learning new things. So come on in, see what's going on today. Yesterday, a guy brought me 3 shotguns to work on, and all 3 of them are Browning Superposed. I've worked on, maybe 4 or 5 superposed in my whole life, to one degree or another. I've made complete stocks, and I've fixed them, and I've refinished them. But in my shop right now, I have 4. I had one already to refinish over there, and the guy brought me 3 more yesterday. And some of them are pretty nice guns, all kinds of different problems. One of them, in this hard case right here, is saltwood, if you're familiar with that. And so it's got to be completely redone. This one has got some issues. This is a Dux Unlimited, I think, but I'm not positive about that because the serial number starts with M. The forearm is broken completely. It's just a clean break. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. But this serial number starts with M, and on the somewhere on it is written. It says American Mallard, and over here it's got the Latin version of that, and all the mallards are in gold. And so I'm not positive it's DU because on the serial number it's written M. It's number 403 of 500. I saw that written here. It's made in Belgium, 12 gauge, and it's got some really, really crazy curly wood. It's almost like bird's eye. It's so cloudy. The finish is so cloudy. It's got some tiger stripe in it. It's got some dots and some bird's eyes in it. I don't know if it's Turkish. I don't know if it's American black walnut. I'm not positive what it is. I'm going to clean it up. The finish is in really, really bad shape. I'm going to clean it up, rechecker it. It's even got a checkered wooden butt plate. It's got screws in it because the screw that holds this action on comes through here. But they have literally put an insert in there and put screws in it and then put French checkering on the back. And it's a little strange because I think it's 7 or 8 lines and then a skip and then 7 or 8 lines. Most of it is 5 and then 2 and then 5 and 2. Anyway, this guy is going to need to be redone. And I've got to match the forend wood to what the butt is, and I got to clean this up before I can even figure out what it is. So the one in this hard case is next in line after this one. Like I said, it's saltwood. It's got to be a complete remake, so I'm just going to get it out of here until I get ready to work on it. It's a 3-barreled set. Superposed come apart in various ways. They're not all the same. We're going to focus on this one because that's the one I have to deal with, and I'm going to show you how this superposed comes apart. I had one in here, a year and a half ago that had saltwood, and I contacted gunsmiths and gun dealers, and nobody could tell me how to get that fore end off of there. This one is a lot more straightforward. It actually had a screw that came through the front, and it was disguised in about 8 different ways. But that's how you took it apart, was a screw through the front of it. This one's a lot more straightforward. A little screw and a retainer inside there. That just comes off like any other superposed. The little lever here comes up, it comes off like so. Got that out of the way. Now I'm going to put this retainer clip back on here after I take this wood off. The reason I'm using such a tiny little bitty screwdriver that doesn't really match that head down there is because you got to get by this. You got to bypass this just to get a screwdriver in there. Now, there's a pin right here that holds this on. There's a pin right there, and you can push that out and get this away from you so you can reach inside there with a screwdriver. And eventually I may need to do that. That pin typically is not super tight. You can use a drift and just tap it out of there. But for right now, I just want to put all the pieces together so it's all intact. I'm going to check this out with the owner before I do this, but these brakes are very clean. This is about as clean a brake as you can get. And I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm going to put pins in here, probably 3 pins, stainless steel pins about 1/8 of an inch in diameter, and set them in epoxy and glue this back with some brown tinted epoxy. And if I can get permission to repair this stock, I'm going to do that. And the reason is this: see how close that thing mates up? It matches up pretty good. And when I put pressure on that and use brown tinted epoxy and squeeze that thing from there to there, the reason I'd rather fix it is it keeps the originality of the combination of the buttstock and the forearm. The numbers are on the inside of that thing match up. It keeps it all completely original. The deal that I give people on repairing stocks, and I've been doing this my whole career, if I believe, just by my own professional opinion, that I can fix this and make it workable, and I treat it like it's mine or for my son, grandson, I'll charge you a price to fix it. If it ever fails, other than absolute misuse, if it ever fails, I will refund you that price and apply that towards making you a new one. I've never had a single man to come and collect on that offer. Everything I've fixed has stayed fixed. So that's what I'm going to offer them. and hopefully they'll let me repair this, because I think it's going to be a better fix to do that. Now I've got to still strip it and refinish it and recut the checking and all that stuff. I did one of these, I had to make a forearm a year and a half ago. This has got an unusual button plate. They actually put springs. Inside of that is a little coil spring, so it pushes this out. And so you don't have to take a pick or something and pull it out of there. Hopefully a standard screw in there. Yeah. That way I don't lose screws and I know which hole they go in. Incidentally, there's a little spring, a little coil spring underneath that trigger guard. And that trigger guard being in place keeps that spring there. It's something to do with the trigger, and I don't know exactly what, but I don't want that thing to jump out into the stratosphere and I can't find it. I will mark these screws as far as what's front and back and what's top and bottom. I always put a red magic marker on the front and on the top. Okay, it's apart. It's ready to start the stripping process. Woohoo! This is a very unusual high-grade piece of wood. It's got several characteristics to it. It's got bird's eye. It's got little bird's eyes everywhere. It's got fiddleback all through it, just here and there and everywhere. Those are the two primary ones, but the problem with fiddleback, and this gun's quite old, probably from the 50s or 60s. The problem with fiddleback is it's rarely dry when it's made into a piece of wood. Rarely. And as it keeps drying after the customer owns it and uses it and stores it and uses it and stores it, and it's exposed to dampness in the field and then dryness back in the gun safe and back and forth, as that fiddleback continues to dry, it starts getting wavy like that, and the parts in between the hard parts will dry more, and it creates a dip, and then the visible dark places you see are the little mountains, the little humps in between the valleys. And as that keeps drying over the years, it keeps getting more and more wavy, that waviness. If you knew how fiddleback was created, I got a piece of wood here I can show you. Several years ago I was splitting some firewood and I ran across this piece, and I think it's maple, I believe. If you look at this, has been smoothed off. I ran it through a planer, and you can see the little stripes. Some people call them tiger stripes. The hard parts are darker, the soft parts in the middle are lighter, and it's little humps and ridges and valleys. Alright, what happens to make that is towards the bottom of the tree, as a tree gets bigger, genetically a tree will grow to a certain size, just like genetically a man will grow to a certain size. I happen to be 5'8", and change. And so I'm going to hit 5/8 and then stop, but I'll get bigger around and I'll get heavier. And a tree does the same thing. I'll say a white oak tree will get to 65, 70 feet, and then it'll just keep getting bigger around. As it gets heavier, the bottom of it's holding all the weight down close to the trunk, close to the root. And as that gets heavier, it starts pushing it down, and those fibers at the bottom, instead of being straight, they start scrunching. They start making like an accordion. Well, that accordion look, as it goes in and out and in and out and in and out, makes that. And if you look at it when it's planed, it looks like that. But if you look at it when it's not planed, it looks like that. That's that accordion look. When you plane that off, you end up with fiddleback.